Have you ever felt your heart tighten as if bracing for a shocking truth? That very feeling is spreading right now. Imagine this. Everything we thought we knew about a man's final day, the peaceful beach, the warm sunshine, the so-called accident, might have been nothing more than a carefully staged illusion to hide a darker secret. What if he had actually been injected with something before he went under the water? What if the entire story was deliberately concealed? Several accounts speak of 3 mysterious figures trailing closely behind him. One reportedly handed him something that looked like a water bottle, though others whisper it might have been something far more dangerous. In an instant, his body gave out, his strength vanished, and he could no longer swim. The scariest part. According to the legend, a certified American trauma surgeon was right there at the scene, shouting, trying desperately to save him. But it was already too late. So what do you think about this mystery? If you believe the truth behind this story deserves to be uncovered, drop a 1 in the comments. If you're still unsure or skeptical, drop a 0. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join us as we explore more hidden mysteries and untold stories. Thanks for watching. Why would anyone stop an American doctor from saving a drowning man, unless, of course, someone didn't want Malcolm to survive? Back at the hotel, panic erupted. His wife screamed, "Why isn't anyone telling me where he is?" Staff responded that they had been told not to alarm other guests. By 4:45 p.m., barely 30 minutes after he stepped into the water, Malcolm was declared dead. What unsettled his family most was the speed of it all. By 3:00 p.m., the autopsy had already been completed. Just an hour later, an official report declared it an accidental drowning. No toxicology screening, no independent review, no waiting for input from U.S. authorities. Malcolm's cousin, who arrived in Costa Rica the following day, said the whole situation felt like it was handled in a hurried and dismissive way. Within 48 hours, he was cremated, and the family wasn't even allowed a chance to see him. And now comes the most pressing question: the security cameras at Clay Beach Resort, an upscale getaway popular with tourists, celebrities, and the wealthy. What's even more unsettling is the disappearance of important evidence. Costa Rica is widely known for having surveillance systems in most tourist spots, especially at upscale resorts like Clay Beach Resort, where Malcolm was staying. Yet the entire footage from July 27th, the day of the incident, was missing. The explanation given was a technical malfunction in the hard drive. Strangely, it was the only failure in months, leaving many to question how believable that explanation really was. On top of that, the only camera facing the beach wasn't operating that day. When a member of Malcolm's family repeatedly asked local authorities for the full video records, including backup files, guest phone recordings, and even satellite logs, the reply was dismissive. "You are not permitted to see those." That response sparked serious concerns and left many questioning whether information was being withheld. Meanwhile, on social media, Malcolm's fans poured out their grief and disbelief. They shared favorite memories of him through old clips, behind-the-scenes moments, from the Cosby Show and red carpet interviews. Yet, what stood out was the absence of public condolences from major figures in the entertainment industry, a silence that felt heavier than words. After a long silence, Raven Simone, one of Malcolm's closest friends, was finally heard in a leaked audio recording. She shared, "He was truly gentle and sensitive. He carried the weight of others without anyone realizing. We failed to protect him. But what stayed with listeners most were her final words. This didn't feel like an accident. It felt as if someone didn't want him to return. Malcolm's family refused to see the situation as straightforward. Just 2 days after his passing, they brought in a private investigator, someone who had once served as a federal agent in the U.S., to carry out an independent inquiry away from the influence of the media and local authorities. What this investigator uncovered left everyone deeply unsettled. First, the individual who signed the autopsy report did not hold the proper international certification typically required for such a task. Second, Malcolm's blood sample, considered vital evidence, was disposed of before a representative from the U.S. Embassy could request it for testing. Third, a witness who initially stated they had seen a man named Malcolm something Silver near the beach later changed their account after being questioned by local authorities. But instead of being allowed to step in the story, claims that emergency personnel pushed the doctor away, preventing him from helping. Why would that happen? Who could possibly have the authority to stop someone from saving a life in a moment of crisis? And then came an even stranger twist. The beach security cameras reportedly went offline at that exact moment. The one day they were expected to work, they recorded nothing. When a local officer was asked about the missing footage, the chilling response was, "You weren't supposed to see that. This wasn't an accident." This was no coincidence, it was a plan hidden in plain sight. And now Malcolm's family is finally ready to break their silence. Stay tuned, because what they reveal is more unsettling than anyone expected. It all began with what seemed like a simple getaway, a calm family retreat. Clay Beach in Costa Rica, bright skies, golden sand. A peaceful escape Malcolm Jamal Warner hadn't felt in years. After decades lost in Hollywood's chaos, he finally discovered a rare moment of calm, stepping away from the spotlight, the cameras, and the endless media noise. Just the ocean's rhythm, the warm sunlight, and his family beside him. But that serenity was short-lived because someone had already set a darker plan in motion. A local vendor, choosing to stay unnamed, remembered. He was smiling, spending time with his son, sipping coconut water. Everything felt ordinary, nothing out of place. But then things began to shift. Several witnesses recall that at first Malcolm strolled down to the beach alone. But soon after, 3 unfamiliar men trailed behind him. They weren't hotel guests, not tourists, and not locals anyone recognized. They stood out like they didn't belong there. One lifeguard later admitted they moved like shadows, as if they were carrying out a secret mission. At 1:17 p.m., Malcolm waded into the water. By 1:19, a man in sunglasses holding a metallic object approached him waist-deep. From that moment, time seemed to blur. A woman on the shore screamed that she saw something being handed to Malcolm. Maybe it was just a water bottle, or maybe something else, a syringe. No one could say for certain. But almost instantly, Malcolm's body reacted. He didn't fight, didn't call for help. He simply froze, his body sinking slowly beneath the waves. What happened next was even stranger. Red Cross personnel appeared almost instantly. By 1:22, they were already on the scene so fast it felt as if they had known what was coming. But they weren't the only ones. Among the crowd was Dr. Henry Lamberts, an American trauma surgeon vacationing with his wife and children. He saw what unfolded and rushed forward. "I told them I was a licensed trauma surgeon," he recalled. "I offered to check his airway to start CPR. But what happened left me shocked. They shoved me back and told me to stand down. I've worked in war zones and I've never seen anyone refuse help like that. The most startling detail was that the hotel where Malcolm was staying had reportedly received a notice from a private security company just 3 hours before the incident. The message mentioned a possible risk to an unnamed guest. Yet despite the alert, the hotel appeared to take no preventive measures. The story grew even more mysterious when a voice message said to be from an anonymous hotel employee surfaced on Reddit. In it, the speaker claimed, "We were told to stay quiet." The cameras had been switched off that morning. The kitchen staff was instructed to clean the beach bar. We didn't realize what had happened until it was already too late. All of this suggests that what happened may not have been as simple as an accident. The questions remain. Why did the cameras stop working on that particular day? Why was the body cremated so quickly within 48 hours? Why was a qualified CPR doctor kept from helping? Why was the autopsy rushed to a conclusion of accidental drowning, while several witnesses shared accounts that differed? And perhaps the most difficult question of all, what did Malcolm know that could have placed him in such a vulnerable position? This was not presented as a simple accident during a casual swim. It appeared to be carefully managed and closely controlled. His family, worn down by the long silence, is now prepared to share every detail from irregularities at the hospital and missing digital records to Malcolm's final words before he passed. Just 2 nights before Malcolm Jamal Warner went into the sea, he called his sister. The call was brief and ordinary, yet his words continue to stay with her. "If anything happens to me, don't believe what they say." He spoke calmly, almost as if he had sensed something ahead. That message carried even more weight when his body was cremated quickly before the family could request a second autopsy. Those words still echo in the minds of his loved ones like a reminder they cannot forget. Just 48 hours before his passing, Malcolm sent a text to an old friend sharing his unease. He wrote, "I've noticed 2 men who keep showing up at the resort. They're not staff, and they don't seem like guests. One of them pretends to be on the phone, but I feel like he's been watching me." The following morning, he added, "Even though I tried to change my routine, they're still standing near the beach bar. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but this feeling is really unsettling." What had Malcolm noticed? Was he really being observed? And if so, by whom? Malcolm was known for his calm demeanor, private nature, and peaceful lifestyle. Yet hotel staff recalled something unusual about his behavior the day before his death. A buffet attendant mentioned that Malcolm hardly touched his food, kept scanning the room, and even switched tables several times during his meal. A guest who took a photo with him that afternoon remembered Malcolm smiling for the camera, yet his eyes carried a look of unease. His concerns didn't seem unfounded. Clearly something was weighing heavily on him. Some now believe this was far more than a simple tragedy. Just 3 days after Malcolm's body was cremated, an anonymous source connected to a third-party laboratory in San Jose, Costa Rica, came forward with claims about a toxicology test that had not been disclosed. According to the source, the results indicated traces of a very rare paralytic compound, one not naturally found in Costa Rica, present at low levels in Malcolm's blood. Could this really have been just an accident? Or does it raise the possibility that Malcolm had been exposed to something harmful before entering the sea? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you think there's more to the story, type 2. If you remain unconvinced, type 5. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the latest updates, because while the answers may be hidden, they cannot be erased. A close friend recalled. He told me, "I've been silent for too long. It's time to speak out." That was the last time we spoke. Could his choice to finally speak up have put him in danger? Is it possible that someone decided he was never meant to share the truth? The night after Malcolm's death, an anonymous Twitter account posted just one line: "You should stay silent. Theo." Within 10 minutes, the post was deleted and the account disappeared, but screenshots quickly circulated online. Theo was the name of Malcolm's character on The Cosby Show. Was it a warning or some kind of code? The account was traced to a VPN in Europe, yet no owner could be identified. In the end, only silence and a chilling emptiness remained. Malcolm's family reached out to international lawyers, U.S. Congress members, and the United Nations Human Rights Committee, demanding a full reinvestigation, including transparency in forensic examinations, U.S. oversight, and access to all missing evidence from server logs to medical samples. Yet the more they pursued the truth, the harder they were pushed back. Each time they spoke out, anonymous, threatening emails arrived: "Let the dead rest, or you will join them." The pain they felt had become more than emotion. It had turned into a calculated, relentless psychological ordeal. Malcolm was more than an actor. He was outspoken and a source of inspiration to many. Before his death, he recorded an audio clip stored in the Vacation Mixes folder on the cloud, accessible only to his manager. The recording was time-stamped July 26th at 9:48 p.m., just 14 hours before he passed away. The message wasn't a farewell, it was a warning. If you're hearing this, it means things didn't go as planned. I've been followed for a week. I didn't commit suicide. If they say I drowned, know this: it wasn't an accident. Tell my son I love him and tell the world. I tried to speak the truth. In that moment, the room froze. His sister broke down in tears and the manager dropped the phone. This was living proof. He had known what was coming. In Los Angeles, Malcolm had a secure locker in his private studio, accessible only via biometric identification. After legal requests, the family was finally granted access. Inside, they found a leather bag containing 2 encrypted USB drives, handwritten journals, and a USB labeled "Do Not Use on an Airplane." But before the family could examine the contents, just 24 hours later, the fire alarm went off, the sprinklers activated, and the entire vault was flooded. The investigation ruled it a sensor malfunction, yet only Malcolm's locker was affected. Could this have been a deliberate act of sabotage? After the family went public, many actors quietly reached out, fearful. I worked with Malcolm in 2019. He said, "Now they don't come at you with lawyers anymore. They come at you with accidents," one revealed. He was once offered millions to stay silent. He refused. He was about to name those responsible, the ones funding the networks, the movies, the elections. The compound described in the report can mimic the symptoms of drowning by paralyzing muscle function, and it becomes nearly impossible to detect if not tested within 2 hours after death. This suggests the victim could have been affected by poisoning while still being assumed to have drowned. Yet the report was never entered into the official case files, as the blood sample was disposed of before further review. When Malcolm's family sought clear answers from the authorities, they were met only with silence, vague responses, and layers of empty procedures. Every request to access the security footage was denied. Their effort to have the body returned to the U.S. for further examination was refused since it had already been cremated. Even attempts to speak with lifeguards or hotel employees were blocked. All of these barriers pointed to something deliberately hidden, pushing Malcolm's family to continue their relentless fight for truth and justice for their loved one. When Malcolm's family asked for answers, they were met only with silence, vague responses, and layers of unexpected red tape. Authorities refused to release the security footage, and their request to return the body to the U.S. for additional testing was denied. The cremation had already taken place. Even reaching witnesses, including lifeguards and hotel staff, became an obstacle filled with nearly impossible barriers. The resort manager, who had spoken to the media immediately after the incident, soon vanished without a trace, resigning from their job, shutting off their phone, and leaving behind an empty apartment. Every lead seemed to collapse until a lower-level hotel staff member, nervous and on the verge of quitting, shared a critical detail with the family's private investigator. The day before Malcolm's death, a man arrived. He wasn't in the system, yet security still allowed him through. I saw him meet with the hotel manager for about 10 minutes before leaving. Although the man's name remained unknown, his image appeared near the lifeguard station shortly before the drowning occurred. His face matched one of 3 individuals seen following Malcolm, carrying what looked like a metal bottle now suspected to have been the device used to deliver a muscle-paralyzing agent, a quiet yet deadly anesthetic. When the timeline of the incident was reviewed, the first red flag was the medical response at the lifeguard station. It was later discovered that the people dressed in rescue uniforms were not actual staff. They carried no identification or certification. Some even pointed out that their outfits didn't match the official attire of Costa Rica's rescue teams. In the end, the Costa Rican Red Cross released a statement: no official rescue team was present at Clay Beach on the day of the incident, confirming they had never been on the scene. So who were these imposters? And why was Malcolm's body removed before anyone else had the chance to see it? A tourist named Natalie Boone managed to secretly capture the chaotic moments on the beach footage, showing Malcolm face down in the water and 2 men pulling something from the sea. But when she tried to upload the video online, her iCloud account was mysteriously reset and the footage disappeared. Natalie later recalled, "It wasn't clear who accessed the account, but Apple informed me that the password had been changed from an IP address in Florida," Natalie explained. Yet she insisted she had never been to Florida. So who tampered with a tourist's phone to erase the footage? And could Natalie's recording have captured something that was never meant to be seen? Three weeks before the trip, Malcolm was in the final stages of negotiating a memoir that would expose hidden abuses of power, financial corruption, and secret dealings within the entertainment industry. The book was nearly complete. Just days before his flight, he also chose to walk away from a non-disclosure agreement (NDA) with a major film studio. At first, the media focused on the accident, but when Malcolm's audio recording leaked, the hashtag #DotchJustice captured the community's attention for 6 straight days. Celebrities who had stayed silent, including Felicia Rashad and Tempest Bledsoe, posted black images, broken heart symbols, or phrases like "silenced." A former security advisor for a streaming platform spoke anonymously on a podcast. "I was hired to monitor celebrity risks. Malcolm was on a secret watch list because of his escalating opposition and contract violations. A watch list just for speaking out." The public began to understand this wasn't only Malcolm's story, it was part of something much larger. Pamela Warner. Malcolm's mother finally broke her silence in a tearful press conference. My son wasn't perfect, but he was brave. And the secrets he carried cost him his life. He was injected with a substance. He was drowned. He was erased. And I won't stop until someone is held responsible. Her voice trembled, her hands shook uncontrollably, yet each word resonated across screens throughout the United States. She then held up a screenshot showing Malcolm's final words, "I didn't commit suicide. I didn't drown." Looking directly into the camera, she whispered like a call to action. "He told you. Now do something." Under mounting public pressure, the U.S. Embassy in Costa Rica called for the investigation to be reopened. Local authorities resisted, citing national sovereignty and a lack of evidence to reopen the case. Translated plainly, someone was being protected. An anonymous embassy employee revealed that 2 diplomatic staff members were recalled after requesting access to surveillance data. A quiet struggle was unfolding behind the scenes. The U.S. demanded answers, while Costa Rica refused to provide them. The Warner family has now filed a lawsuit with the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. This was no longer just the death of a star, it had become an international scandal. Netflix reportedly approached Malcolm's family, offering to produce a documentary about his life legacy and mysterious death. The family declined. Malcolm had left a final journal entry written just before the trip, "Don't let them turn me into content. I'm not a file. I'm a person who tried to warn you." That single line silenced every camera. Less than 3 weeks after Malcolm's death, another sitcom actor kept anonymous for legal reasons also died while in Colombia. Cause of death: undetermined health complications. The chilling connection. This actor, too, was writing a memoir, was tied to the same circle of power, and had met Malcolm a month earlier. Fans began to connect the dots, and whispers started circulating, a truth no one dared say aloud. They're cleaning up. The Warner family has launched the Malcolm Truth Fund with 3 key goals: provide global protection for artists brave enough to speak out, investigate suspicious deaths abroad, and release all forensic data, including previously unreleased toxicology reports. They also hired a cybersecurity team to recover deleted files, trace lost footage, and track the VPN used to post the threatening tweet, "You should have stayed silent, Theo." The mission: identify the person behind it and hold at least one individual accountable. Let's recap what happened to Malcolm Jamal Warner before the trip he was being followed. He sent a warning message to a close friend. He left a recording denying suicide. He was approached by 3 men underwater, one of whom inserted or injected a metallic object into him. He lost control of his body and drowned without resistance. A trained doctor was blocked from providing emergency care. The Red Cross confirmed they were not present at the scene. Beach security cameras malfunctioned only that day. His body was cremated within 48 hours. The evidence room was flooded immediately after being unlocked. A Twitter account posted threats using Malcolm's name. Anyone involved who dared to speak out vanished. Accident, coincidence, or a carefully orchestrated scheme. Before his passing in July 2025, Warner broke the silence he had kept for many years for the first time. In his final message to the public, he confirmed what many had long suspected, but dared not believe: the legacy of The Cosby Show had decayed from within. This admission was not only a declaration, but also a shocking blow to the entertainment industry and fans who once loved the show. For many, Warner had always been closely associated with the image of the perfect family on television, and his public revelation forced both the media and his colleagues to question what had driven him to speak out at the final moments of his life. Before his passing in July 2025, Warner broke the silence he had kept for many years for the first time. In his final message to the public, he confirmed what many had long suspected, but dared not believe the legacy of The Cosby Show had decayed from within. This admission was not only a declaration, but also a shocking blow to the entertainment industry and fans who once loved the show. For many, Warner had always been closely associated with the image of the perfect family on television, and his public revelation forced both the media and his colleagues to question what had driven him to speak out at the final moments of his life. Just weeks before his death at the age of 54, Warner sat before a microphone in a small recording studio in Los Angeles, taking part in a conversation with Melissa Ford, the host of the Hot and Bothered podcast. The space was almost isolated from the outside world, filled only with the gentle hum of a fan and the familiar soft noise of recording equipment. Warner sat there, appearing calmer than usual, his eyes deep with memories he rarely revealed. This change did not stem from physical pain or work pressure, but from a feeling that had silently weighed on him for many years. In that moment, he seemed to carry a secret never spoken aloud, and it was in this small studio that he chose to finally shed the long-held veil of silence. When Melissa mentioned The Cosby Show, Warner gave a soft smile, a smile that carried both the warmth of cherished memories and a distant wistfulness shaped by time. Yet behind that smile, his eyes revealed an unmistakable restlessness mingled with regret and a touch of sorrow. Those eyes were no longer those of the young actor rising to fame, but of a seasoned man who had come to understand that behind the spotlight of a cultural icon always lie shadows few dare to face. In that moment, listeners could sense that Warner was about to reveal something important, a truth powerful enough to make longtime fans of the show reconsider their memories with fresh eyes. He spoke gently, his voice slow and thoughtful. "I cannot defend him, but I also cannot completely deny the man who inspired me." This was more than an answer. It was the culmination of a long emotional journey, torn between gratitude and disappointment. It was also the last time Warner mentioned Bill Cosby, the mentor who had guided him into the profession, the colleague who once stood shoulder to shoulder with him, a national icon of his era, but also the central figure in one of the most shocking scandals in American television history. Those words echoed within the small recording studio, serving as a farewell, both forgiving and rejecting, leaving a lingering impression on both listeners and Warner himself. This moment also marked a rare milestone. Warner publicly acknowledged that Cosby's legacy had utterly collapsed. No longer cloaked in evasions or safe silence, he admitted that this fall not only ended a legend, but also swept countless innocent people into a vortex of loss and pain. These included actors, crew members, and even fans, people who had once trusted, admired, and connected with a beautiful image, now shattered into fragments. In Warner's eyes, perhaps the most painful truth was that it wasn't just one man who had fallen, but an entire shared world of memories that had disintegrated. Playing the role of Theo Huxtable, the mischievous yet loving son of Dr. Cliff Huxtable Warner, captured the hearts of millions of American families. His portrayal of the young man with a warm smile and natural humor became an indelible part of the memories of television audiences throughout the 1980s and early 1990s. When The Cosby Show ended in 1992, Warner was only 22 years old, but had already become an icon for a generation widely recognized as a face synonymous with the golden age of American sitcoms. Over the following 3 decades, he continued to dedicate himself to the arts, yet whenever the topic of Cosby arose, he carefully sidestepped sensitive questions, never publicly defending Cosby, nor outright condemning him, as if maintaining a delicate balance between loyalty and truth. However, in the final months of his life, as time grew short and his health waned, Warner understood that his silence might mean the truth would remain forever buried. He realized that if he did not speak out, perhaps no one else would find the courage to do so. This was not merely a personal decision, but a responsibility of someone who had been an insider witness, someone who had lived and grown amid both the glory and the shadows of a cultural icon. For Warner, the moment had come to break the long-held protective silence and leave behind a final message, one he hoped would help the world reassess the past with fairness, clarity, and without illusions. That day's podcast did not reveal any shocking new allegations or accusations as many had anticipated. Instead, Warner offered a calm yet deeply sorrowful affirmation, all the goodness that audiences once believed about The Cosby Show and Bill Cosby was no longer intact. His voice lowered, lacking anger or bitterness, carrying instead the tone of someone who had lost something deeply cherished. He spoke plainly, each word seeming etched into the listener's memory. The legacy has been tarnished. This statement was more than an assessment. It was a farewell to a part of the past where he had lived, loved, and believed. For Warner, the greatest pain did not lie in the downfall of an individual, no matter that individual was once a mentor colleague and the center of a cultural legend. What tormented him more deeply was the disappearance of a cultural icon, the image of a close-knit, middle-class, intellectual African-American family, a rarity on television screens in the 1980s and 1990s. The Cosby Show was more than just a popular sitcom. It was a gateway to hope and pride for millions of viewers, especially within the Black community. Now, with that legacy shattered, Warner understood that this loss could not be measured merely by ratings or awards, but by the void left in the memories and trust of an entire generation. When asked whether Bill Cosby might have been wrongfully convicted, Warner answered cautiously that he was not present at the events and thus lacked the authority to judge. Yet unlike his earlier reserved stance, he openly expressed sincere empathy for the women who came forward with accusations. I believe those women, and if they suffered, I suffer with them. This was the first time Warner directly conveyed profound emotional solidarity with the victims, marking a significant turning point after years of maintaining neutrality and avoiding sensitive questions. Rather than attacking or condemning Cosby outright, Warner focused on the losses and consequences that followed the steady income lost by himself and many others. The closed doors to career opportunities, the cultural stature once respected, now defamed, and above all, the shattered trust of the audience. For many, The Cosby Show truly died the moment Bill Cosby was convicted in 2018. This event not only destroyed Cosby's personal image, but also shook the entire cultural value the show had embodied for decades. For Warner, this loss was profound and irreplaceable. He not only lost a crucial part of his career, but also had to confront the harsh reality that an icon he had once deeply admired and cherished was now completely toppled in the eyes of the public. The disappearance of The Cosby Show was not merely the end of a television program, but the collapse of a cultural symbol, a faith once entrusted by millions, leaving a gap in Warner's heart and in many others that is difficult to fill. For Malcolm, The Cosby Show was far more than just a job. It was a deeply meaningful part of his childhood memories and a crucial starting point for his artistic career. The years he spent with the show helped shape who he is, serving as a solid foundation for his growth and development. Whether it ended in glory or scandal to Malcolm, it was an unavoidable loss, as if he left a part of himself along that journey. Every time he reflects on The Cosby Show, he feels a profound blend of pride and lingering regret, recognizing that this period not only marked the beginning of his success, but was also intertwined with many challenging trials. One particularly memorable moment Malcolm often recalls occurred in 1985 when Bill Cosby told him, "When you're at the top, that's when you have to work twice as hard to prove you deserve your place." This statement became a guiding principle and source of inspiration throughout his life. Because of it, Malcolm not only overcame the immense shadow cast by his iconic role, but also continued to pursue diverse passions within the arts. He developed into a talented musician, a creative director, and a profound poet, and even earned a prestigious Grammy Award in 2015. These achievements stand as a testament to his resilience, persistence, and relentless desire to assert himself beyond the confines of his television persona, becoming a multifaceted and independent artist. Warner was one of the few actors from The Cosby Show fortunate enough to avoid financial hardship after the program ended, thanks to his early efforts to build a stable career outside the show. Through careful planning and smart career choices, he established a solid financial foundation that allowed him to continue growing across various artistic fields without being heavily affected by the negative turmoil surrounding the show. Despite his success and financial stability, Warner remained deeply aware that not all members of the cast shared the same fortune. He understood that behind the glittering spotlight of a hit program lay other stories' lives significantly impacted by unforeseen and uncontrollable events. A poignant example of this harsh reality is Jeffrey Owens, Warner's former co-star, who was spotted working at a Trader Joe's supermarket in 2018 after his career gradually stalled due to the fallout from the Bill Cosby scandal. Jeffrey's story stands as clear evidence of how far-reaching the devastation of a scandal can be, affecting not only the central figure but also countless innocent people caught in its destructive wake. Warner believes that what he cannot forgive is not only Cosby's wrongdoing, but also the exorbitant price paid by the entire cast and crew. The pain runs deep, not just in lost reputations, but also in opportunities, closed-off dreams shattered, and the trust of audiences broken, creating lasting, indelible consequences that are difficult to erase from the lives of those who were once deeply connected to the show. At the close of the podcast, Warner spoke softly yet passionately. "I just hope that after everything, people will still remember The Cosby Show as a wonderful program." These words carried a profound message, expressing his final hope that despite the scandals and storms that had come, the value and beautiful memories of the show would endure in the hearts of its viewers. It was not only a testament to the power of art and television, but also a heartfelt tribute to the dedication, passion, and love the cast and crew poured into the project over the years. Warner wished that no matter how complex and painful the truth might be, the public could still regard the show with respect and affection. Shortly after that conversation, Warner passed away suddenly off the coast of Lemon, Costa Rica, swept away by a strong undertow. Official reports confirmed that his death was unrelated to alcohol, drugs, or any reckless behavior, making his unexpected passing all the more tragic and shocking. Despite the suddenness of his departure, Warner managed to leave the world one final truth: not to condemn anyone, but to cleanse the long-standing darkness, not to destroy, but to liberate the wounded souls. Through his words and actions, He seemed to convey that forgiveness and fair acknowledgement are the only paths to healing and opening new chapters in life, no matter the hardships and challenges that lie ahead. If Malcolm was the talented son raised within a legend, then Bill Cosby was the one who created that legend. For nearly 40 years, Cosby was known not only as an actor, but also as a producer, speaker, scholar, and respected social activist. He received more than 50 honorary degrees, reflecting his wide-ranging influence across various fields. Notably, he pioneered the rise of a sitcom featuring an all-black cast to dominate primetime television in the United States, ushering in a new era of diversity and representation on the small screen. During the 1980s and 1990s, when African-American portrayals were often confined to negative stereotypes, Bill Cosby introduced a completely different, vibrant image. The character of Dr. Cliff Huxtable, a man living in a brownstone in Brooklyn who loved his family and imparted valuable moral lessons, became a vivid symbol of upward mobility and the American dream for the Black community. This portrayal not only broke old molds, but also inspired millions, helping to change societal perceptions of family and success within African-American communities. However, in 2014, a stand-up clip by Hannibal Buress went viral, openly calling out Cosby's misconduct. Soon after, dozens of women actresses, models, media professionals accused Cosby of drugging and assaulting them, with some incidents dating back to the 1960s. In total, there were more than 60 accusations. In 2015, Andrea Constand, a former basketball operations director at Temple University, officially accused Bill Cosby of drugging and assaulting her in 2004. This case became a pivotal starting point in the string of allegations against Cosby, as it was the only one still within the statute of limitations. Andrea's accusations drew widespread public attention and triggered a deep investigation that shook the entertainment industry and American society at large. The trial marked a turning point in how sexual assault allegations were handled, sparking intense debates about power, silence, and justice. By 2018, Bill Cosby's trial concluded with a verdict finding him guilty on 3 serious counts related to sexual assault. The court sentenced him to 3 to 10 years in prison, marking a significant downfall in his once glorious career and reputation. The image of Cosby leaving the courthouse in handcuffs became a bitter symbol, capturing the moment when an era came to an end. This outcome not only reflected a societal shift in awareness regarding sexual assault, but also opened a new chapter for victims, sending a powerful message about justice and the responsibilities that come with power. In 2021, however, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned Cosby's conviction based on a non-prosecution agreement signed in 2005. This decision led to Cosby's release after serving over 2 years behind bars. Despite regaining his freedom, this did not restore his public image or status, which had been irreparably damaged by years of scandal and lengthy court battles. This moment became a critical turning point in public consciousness, where people began to accept a complex truth: while the law can grant forgiveness and amend decisions, collective memory of the wrongdoing, pain, and consequences will never be erased or forgotten. Among those deeply affected by these events, Malcolm Jamal Warner experienced some of the most profound anguish and damage. As an actor closely tied to The Cosby Show and his legendary role within it, he faced not only the collapse of the mentor and colleague he once respected, but also the lasting repercussions on his own reputation and career path. For Malcolm, the case and controversies surrounding Bill Cosby were more than just legal matters. They were deeply personal wounds and tests of faith, a heavy emotional burden he carried and confronted throughout his life. When 14-year-old Malcolm Jamal Warner first stepped onto the set of The Cosby Show in 1984, he could never have imagined how deeply the name Bill Cosby would shape and influence his entire life. The role in the show not only brought Warner nationwide fame, but also forged a special bond with Cosby, who was more than just a mentor. He was like a father figure on screen. Bill Cosby guided and shaped Warner's career path as well as his worldview. At that time, Cosby was already a revered icon in the entertainment industry and served as a strong emotional anchor for Warner during his formative years. Cosby was both stern and inspiring, teaching Warner invaluable lessons on etiquette, dressing with style, confidently handling interviews, and how to protect himself against the unseen pressures of an industry dominated by white executives. Beyond that, Cosby helped Warner steer clear of the temptations of early fame and the bright lights of stardom during those challenging initial years. He helped Warner maintain balance and resilience, enabling him to overcome difficulties and stay true to himself in a world full of distractions. Warner once shared in a speech at Howard University in 2011, "I grew up in his arms. Without Cosby, there would be no me today." This statement was not only a heartfelt expression of gratitude, but also an affirmation of the profound impact Bill Cosby had on Warner's life and career. From a 14-year-old boy entering the entertainment world, thanks to Cosby's guidance, Warner matured into a talented artist with strong character and a clear direction in his artistic journey. Therefore, when the scandal involving Bill Cosby erupted, the pain Warner experienced was not merely simple disappointment, but a profound fracture within his soul and faith. Between 2014 and 2020, while many of his colleagues chose silence or blindly sided with Cosby, to protect their image and careers, Warner maintained a rare and cautious stance. He neither publicly defended nor outright condemned Cosby. He did not testify in court nor appear on talk shows to criticize him. Instead, Warner opted to share his personal feelings, carefully revealing his inner struggle, hesitation, and awareness of the complexities surrounding the story. This approach allowed him to remain neutral while respecting the victims who came forward and honoring justice and truth. If you value the courage found in silence, the honesty that lives between extremes, and a voice that chooses to listen instead of judge, leave a comment with the number 1 for Malcolm Jamal Warner. Or type 0 if you believe he should have chosen a different path. Hit like if you believe that sometimes the hardest choice is the right one. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the stories that are hardest to tell, but most important to hear. In 2016, Warner made a deeply meaningful statement. "I know he's a legend, but I also believe the women who came forward." This marked a significant turning point in his perspective, where he no longer relied solely on his personal memories and experiences, but placed trust in the truths shared by those women. Warner did not deny Bill Cosby's important role in his own success, yet he candidly acknowledged that ignoring or downplaying the serious allegations was unacceptable. This viewpoint reflected a delicate balance between gratitude and moral responsibility, a stance that honored the past while bravely confronting the truth amid intense pressure and controversy. At times, Warner openly shared that the label Bill Cosby's son had once been a great source of pride, for him a vital part of his identity and life journey. However, after the scandal erupted, it became the most difficult aspect to accept, causing profound inner turmoil. He once said, "Part of me is still proud, but another part wants to reject it." This statement mirrors the authentic feelings of someone caught between a glorious past and a turbulent present, where memories are no longer intact but cannot easily be erased or forgotten. Unlike many who faced the legacy of disgraced figures by avoiding or denying it, Warner did not attempt to erase his past nor escape the harsh realities. He courageously confronted the darker facets of the story, showing maturity and responsibility in how he viewed his own life and the influence of his former mentor. During a heartfelt conversation on the Hot and Bothered podcast, Warner recalled his final meeting with Bill Cosby in 2012 at a community education event. At that time, Warner was a father and took the moment to sincerely thank Cosby for the invaluable guidance he had received from him over the years. Cosby placed a hand on Warner's shoulder and said with a voice full of trust and expectation, "Now it's your time to lead." Warner recounted that this was the last time he fully felt the respect and unwavering confidence of his former mentor. That moment carried profound spiritual significance and marked an important milestone in Warner's journey toward maturity as he began to take on responsibilities and face the challenges of life and career on his own. As the allegations against Bill Cosby continued to mount, Warner did not simply rely on external information or rumors. He took the time to carefully read every deposition, every report, and every article related to the case. His aim was not to hastily judge right from wrong, but to understand and grasp the complex truth behind these stories. He remained silent for a long time because he knew that any words he spoke could easily be misinterpreted, distorted, or misunderstood in various ways. Warner once shared, "I thought I could keep my distance, but the truth is, I couldn't. He was a part of my childhood, my career, my life. But I also couldn't ignore the pain of those women." This inner conflict illustrates a difficult struggle between loyalty to his mentor and deep empathy for the women suffering from the trauma, creating a psychological state that not many could truly understand. In the midst of these conflicting emotions, Warner found his own path, one that did not conceal the truth, but also did not betray the cherished memories built over the years. The pain he carried inside wasn't expressed through tears or loud words, but through self-restraint, a contemplative gaze, and meaningful silences. Warner resembled a loyal student who could not deny the significant role his mentor had played in his life, but at the same time could not easily forgive if the accusations were true. This image reflects a man courageously confronting the truth torn between loyalty and the responsibility of justice. It showcases the depth of his emotions and ethics in his quest for truth and fairness. This is the tragedy of Malcolm Jamal Warner, and also of an entire generation that grew up with The Cosby Show. However, the biggest difference is that he didn't let himself get lost in the ever-changing waves of public opinion. Warner did not choose to flee from the truth, nor did he try to embellish or mythologize the past. Instead, he bravely confronted his memories, his deep pain, and most importantly, his own heart, with honesty and sincerity. This commitment to truth and resolve shaped the image of a mature artist, one who knew how to preserve his identity while navigating the challenges and storms of life. During its 8 seasons from 1984 to 1992, The Cosby Show was not just an entertainment television program, but also consistently topped the Nielsen ratings, a prestigious measure of audience popularity. In 1985, the show became the #1 program in America, marking the first time a sitcom with an all-black cast achieved such a groundbreaking feat. The impact of The Cosby Show extended far beyond television screens and deeply influenced American society. Specifically, the number of black students enrolling in colleges, especially historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, saw a noticeable increase. This was a direct result of the show's subtle yet inspiring messages, which helped foster trust and hope for a generation of young Black Americans seeking a place and a brighter future in society. When the scandal surrounding Bill Cosby erupted in 2014, television networks nationwide quickly responded to the wave of public backlash and negative opinion. TV Land was the first to remove The Cosby Show from its programming schedule, followed by channels such as Bounce TV BET and the streaming platform Hulu, which also pulled the show from their lineups. Episodes that had once aired regularly, bringing laughter and inspiration to millions of viewers, disappeared completely from the screen within a few months. This shift transformed The Cosby Show, once regarded as a national television treasure, into a legacy now deemed too sensitive and difficult to accept, as if the show had never existed in the history of American television. The removal of The Cosby Show from television networks was not just a decision related to programming, but it also robbed millions of viewers across the country, those who had grown attached to and loved the Huxtable family, of a cherished opportunity. At the same time, it took away the chance for an entire generation of young people to access and explore a show that had once changed the way American society viewed the Black community. The Cosby Show conveyed positive values, challenged stereotypes, and presented a refreshing image of a middle-class, intellectual, and loving Black family. The sudden disappearance of the show from television not only represented a loss in terms of entertainment, but also created a significant gap in building positive role models for the wider community and society at large. Warner bitterly admitted, "Kids today may never know what The Cosby Show is, and if they do, it'll probably only be because of Cosby's case. It's unfair to something that was once so beautiful." His words reflected deep sadness and a tremendous sense of loss for a legacy that was once beloved and had been an inspiration for countless generations. This loss wasn't just emotional. The scandal also led to the complete disappearance of the revenue from syndication royalties, the stable and important income source for the cast. Although Warner did not reveal the specific financial figures, he bluntly shared, "We all lost money. No one was exempt." This statement shows the far-reaching impact of the scandal, which not only destroyed Cosby's personal image, but also directly affected the lives, careers, and incomes of those who had closely worked with the show. Over the past decade, American television has witnessed the successful revival of many classic sitcoms, such as Full House, which returned as Fuller House, and Roseanne reimagined as The Conners. However, The Cosby Show was not fortunate enough to benefit from this trend. Warner believes that had it not been for the scandal, a modern version of the Huxtable family would have undoubtedly achieved resounding success, much like other revived shows. Yet the harsh reality is that just being associated with Bill Cosby, whether or not he appeared in the project, was enough to make production companies and studios withdraw, effectively closing every opportunity for the show's revival. The influence of the scandal created a permanent stain that could not be erased, casting a shadow over the entire legacy that The Cosby Show had built, and the inspiration it had provided to generations of viewers. Phylicia Rashad, who portrayed Claire Huxtable on screen, remained silent for an extended period during the Bill Cosby scandal. However, in June 2021, shortly after the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned Cosby's conviction, she posted a shocking tweet. "Finally, a terrible wrong has been righted." This tweet quickly sparked a wave of controversy on social media and in the public sphere, especially given her recent appointment as the Dean of the College of Fine Arts at Howard University, a position of significant influence and one that required great sensitivity towards social issues. Faced with public pressure and criticism from pundits, Rashad was forced to delete the tweet and issue a public apology. This incident not only fueled intense debates about personal viewpoints and the social responsibility of public figures, but also reflected the sensitivity and complexity of the issues surrounding the Cosby scandal in modern public discourse. In contrast to Felicia Rashad Lisa Bonet, who played Denise Huxtable on The Cosby Show, had long distanced herself from Bill Cosby. In 2018, when the scandal reached its peak, she shared with the press, "I don't know anything specific, but I always felt there was a dark energy surrounding him." This statement subtly but clearly indicated her skepticism and caution toward the man who had been both her mentor and colleague. By choosing to maintain her distance and not getting swept into the scandal, Lisa Bonet successfully escaped the massive shadow of The Cosby Show and avoided being dragged down by Cosby's controversial legacy. She built a distinctive image for herself, earning high praise in the entertainment industry and continuing to develop her career on her own terms, free from the turmoil surrounding the show and the character she had once embodied. Keshia Knight Pulliam, who played Rudy Huxtable, chose to stand by Bill Cosby during the unfolding scandal. In 2017, she appeared alongside him in court stating, "I believe in the principle of innocent until proven guilty." This comment expressed her trust in the legal system and the right of every individual to be presumed innocent until proven otherwise, while also affirming her stance of support for someone she had once considered both a mentor and a close personal figure. However, Pulliam did not shy away from acknowledging the complexity of the situation, adding, "If the accusations are true, I would be disappointed, but that does not erase the affection I have for him." This statement revealed her deep loyalty to the memories and values Cosby had instilled in her, but also her refusal to blindly disregard ethics and fairness. Pulliam demonstrated a nuanced balance between personal affection and moral responsibility, an attitude that was both steadfast and empathetic, understanding the inner conflicts at the heart of a story filled with controversy and heartbreak. Finally, Jeffrey Owens, who portrayed Elvin Thibodeau on The Cosby Show, became the center of attention in 2018 when images of him working at a Trader Joe's supermarket were widely circulated in the media. This incident quickly became a vivid example of the far-reaching devastation caused by the scandal surrounding Bill Cosby, significantly affecting the careers and lives of many of the show's cast members. However, Owens openly stated that he did not feel ashamed or diminished by doing such ordinary work. On the contrary, he viewed it as a natural and practical part of daily life. He sincerely expressed, "I have a family to support, and I do honest work. There is nothing to be ashamed of." This statement reflected his resilience and positive attitude in facing unforeseen challenges, as well as his respect for labor and responsibility toward his family. Nevertheless, Owens also understood that had the scandal involving Bill Cosby not occurred, The Cosby Show could have continued to air regularly, and he would have been able to live comfortably from the steady income generated by syndication royalties, a benefit he had enjoyed for 2 decades. While no one in the cast was obligated to speak out about the scandal, everyone felt the profound consequences of its negative impact. Jeffrey Owens's story is not just a striking example of the vast economic and social effects of the scandal, but also a reminder of the losses, pain, and challenges that many innocent people had to endure during this significant turning point in the entertainment industry. His perseverance and positive attitude became a testament to the strength of overcoming adversity and finding value even in the most challenging circumstances. The actors involved in The Cosby Show, from the lead roles to supporting characters, became inextricably tied to the name Cosby, with it becoming a surname they could not separate from their professional identities. In the face of the scandal and the fierce public backlash, each one of them responded differently to the difficult situation. Some quietly stepped away, preferring peace and distance from the chaos, while others chose to defend Cosby, showing loyalty or trust in him. A few chose to remain silent forever, unwilling to publicly comment or be drawn into the controversy. All of them stood at a crossroads, forced to choose between protecting an image they had once been proud of and facing the tarnished reputation they did not cause. This painted a complex picture full of conflicting emotions, deep personal decisions, and difficult choices in an extremely sensitive situation. In this multifaceted and contradictory picture, Malcolm Jamal Warner's response stood out as clear and remarkable. He didn't opt for extreme attitudes or emotional reactions, nor did he avoid or deny the truth, nor did he personally attack anyone or turn the situation into a political statement for personal gain. Instead, Warner chose to observe, reflect, and approach it from the perspective of someone who had lived in that house, fully understanding its hidden corners and deep stories that outsiders could never truly grasp. This cautious, sincere, and deeply human approach reflected his maturity and sensitivity in facing a complex past, while also allowing him to remain true to himself and the memories that shaped who he was. Warner once shared, "We were not just co-stars. We were a family, both on-screen and off-screen." These simple yet profound words illustrate the deep bond between the members of the Cosby Show cast, where the relationship went beyond just professional boundaries and became one of real kinship. Like every family, when the storm of the scandal hit, each member of the group responded differently. However, none of them could escape the heavy consequences that this event brought, from the loss of reputation to profound changes in their personal lives and careers. When The Cosby Show was removed from all television networks, the steady income from syndication royalties, a crucial source of income for the cast, quickly vanished. At the same time, Bill Cosby's name ceased to be a symbol of success and pride, instead becoming a representation of a cultural decline, leaving many feeling shocked and disoriented. However, Warner did not break or succumb to this collapse. Instead, he maintained his composure, resilience, and a deep insight, choosing to face reality in a mature and thoughtful way. After The Cosby Show ended in 1992, Malcolm Jamal Warner did not pursue the typical path of chasing after big roles to maintain his established fame. Instead, he dedicated his time to learning and expanding his skills into other areas, such as directing music composition and seeking new directions in his artistic career. This demonstrated Warner's forward-thinking spirit and his commitment to constant reinvention as he aimed to build a more well-rounded image for himself rather than being confined to the role of an actor. From 1996 to 2000, he took on a leading role in the sitcom Malcolm and Eddie, a show with a completely different style influenced by street culture and strong personalities, starkly contrasting the warm and polished family image he had cultivated on The Cosby Show. This role allowed Warner to broaden his acting range, reaching a new audience while showcasing his versatility and diversity in his career. Continuing his journey of professional growth in 2011, Warner played a psychologist in the TV series Read Between the Lines, marking an impressive return to television with a role that added psychological depth. In 2016, he participated in the hit series The People vs. O.J. Simpson American Crime Story, a work praised by both critics and the public for its artistic merit and social relevance. Not stopping there, from 2018 to 2021, Warner further solidified his talent through his portrayal of Dr. A.J. Austin in the medical series The Resident. His diverse and consistent roles in quality projects proved his maturity and artistic depth, affirming him as a well-rounded artist, unbound by past roles or the legacy of his former fame. Beyond his acting career, Malcolm Jamal Warner also pursued his passion for music as a spoken word artist, a genre that combines poetry and music to offer profound and multidimensional emotional experiences. Throughout his musical journey, he collaborated with renowned artists such as Robert Glasper, Layla Hathaway, and others, creating works deeply marked by his personal imprint and limitless creativity. One of the most notable milestones in his music career came in 2015 when he won the prestigious Grammy Award for Best Traditional R&B Performance for his song, Jesus Children. This achievement not only validated his diverse talent, but also demonstrated his relentless effort to expand his artistic range and challenge himself in new creative realms. When asked if he regretted losing the steady income from the Cosby Show's royalties, Warner laughed and candidly replied, "I never lived off of it. If that was all I had, I'd burn it all." This response reflected his unwavering determination and strong attitude toward the ups and downs of life and career. From the very beginning of his entertainment journey, Warner had prepared himself for the possibility that everything could come to an end or change. He was always ready to seek new paths to grow without being tied to the past or previous successes. This shows the maturity and admirable resilience he displayed in facing challenges and remaining true to his own values. For Warner, the key to weathering the storms of life was creating his own opportunities and seeking fairness through hard work and steadfast integrity. He is remembered not only for his diverse and enduring career, but also for his comprehensive and holistic perspective on Bill Cosby's legacy. Warner once shared, "There's no such thing as a perfect legend, and greatness cannot erase mistakes." In his eyes, Cosby was a vivid example of this, someone who could accomplish great things, but also make unforgivable mistakes. This viewpoint reflects Warner's maturity, understanding, and acceptance of the complexities of human nature in a world full of contradictions. For today's generation of young black artists, Malcolm Jamal Warner is not just Cosby's television son, but a prime example of independence, integrity, and continuous intellectual growth. He has proven that even coming from an icon with a tarnished legacy, an artist can establish their own identity through persistence, integrity, and an unyielding desire to learn. Warner has become a source of inspiration, a shining example for those seeking their own path in life and career, while also contributing to the shaping of a generation of black artists with a spirit of self-reliance and resilience. He didn't destroy Bill Cosby's legacy, but Malcolm Jamal Warner courageously stepped out of that shadow, finding his own voice with honesty and independent thought. He left behind not only an iconic role and a diverse career, but also became a model of maturity in a world that is constantly changing and complex. Warner never defended Cosby, but at the same time, he did not deny the significant role and profound influence Cosby had on shaping who he is. Instead of following the loud public opinion or choosing silence to avoid the truth, he chose to confront and express his thoughts with both courage and caution. This is the inner strength of a man who understands himself and knows what is worth standing firm on in both life and career. We will continue telling the stories that the world tried to forget, because somewhere within those fragments, you might just find a piece of your own truth. All the analysis in this video is based on the information available at the time of production and may change over time, but one thing remains the same: the truth is still waiting to be uncovered. What do you think was the most important part of today's story? Leave a comment with 1 if you resonate with Malcolm Jamal Warner, or 0 if you see it differently. Hit like if you believe memories deserve to be heard, and subscribe so you won't miss the next step in this journey. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.